Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to TFGoose Gaming. This is TFGoose here with Vendetta. And today we are starting a new series here. This is just sort of a kind of a beginner series. We've been doing several videos. If you guys have been following us, a let's play on getting the arcology going, and then of course several generalized tips videos on how to do some stuff like, you know, make a bunch of money and stuff. But on this series we just kind of wanted to start fresh and say, you know, there's a lot of folks out there that have been asking for some more, you know, by the book beginning stage stuff. So if you're not too familiar with the game yet, or you're looking to pick it up, or you're just really starting out, or if you just want to see if you've been doing things right from the beginning, then this is the series for you. So Vendetta started this off here, and why don't you take us through here, man? You already got some cool steps coming up on the screen here for us.
Yeah, so what you want to do when you're first starting out is you want to take a look at your data layers. You want to kind of plan your city around your resource location. So that's what I'm doing here. The city I picked has a lot of natural resources and a river that gives you unlimited amounts of water. So that's very, very key.
Absolutely, yeah. That's one of those nice little tips there, is if you actually put your water, you know, water production facilities right near you know, the river systems there, then the ground never runs out, because if you put it anywhere else in the city, eventually you pump it dry, right?
Yeah, exactly. You'll pump it dry and then you'll run out of water, and rain is supposed to replenish that, but as of the time of this recording, that's not fixed. So
yeah, so might as well just go with what actually works, because, you know, people like to drink or something, you know. So I heard. So,
yeah.
And now it looks like just kind of getting the basics of your road design. That's a little cattywampus, I'm going to say. Just
yeah,
saying.
I went a little crooked. It looks straight from the other direction, but it was obviously not. You guys can go ahead and, you know, kind of use whatever road design you want. I'm a grid person, so that's what I chose to go with. Some basic grids here. Keep in mind as well that if you minimize the amount of intersections, that's really going to help your traffic.
Definitely, definitely. And I mean, you can do it, these kind of like long roads you have here. A lot of you guys have been talking in some comments and such, you know, pointing that out on some of the other videos even that we've put out, that we have a lot of intersections. If you plan out your mass transit properly, then you can counteract some of the effects of traffic for sure. But certainly if you minimize your intersections, then it really does, you know, help keep that under control all the better.
Yeah, so what we're going with here is the basic RCI. The ratio is 2:1 to 1. That's pretty much a good rule of thumb for a properly running city.
Yeah, that's 2 residential, 1 commercial, 1 industrial. So there's really no units to it, but basically, you know, when you just zone off an area of residential, you know, a couple of areas like 2 blocks like you have here, then basically you just want to make sure that you make enough commercial and residential to take up about half of the space that you have set up for residential, and that ends up being a society there, a city that'll support itself even without trade of any kind.
Yeah, that's just a basic RCI city, no specializations whatsoever. And right here, I'm deciding to go with wind power for this city. Reason for that being that is the cheapest clean energy you can get. Obviously the coal and the oil do provide a lot more power, but it's dirty. So if you want to kind of counteract that, I chose to go wind.
Yeah, wind can be really good, and it is one of those things that you can actually check the levels of wind when you're choosing a city plot. It is shown on the resource map, just like all the other, like, you know, coal and ore and oil and water. You know, wind is the 5th resource that it shows there. So if you're planning on using wind as your source, you know, if you happen to choose a plot that has a lot of wind, then that'll help you. It's not necessary. I mean, you're not going to pick any plot that has no wind. You know, I mean, you're going to get something out of it, but you do get more, you know, more bang for your buck on wind if you pick a place that actually has a high amount. But you can do what you like here, and as Vendetta said, it is clean, so your citizens don't care, you know, where it is. If you're using the dirty power, then you really want to place that far away from your residential, otherwise people tend to get ticked.
Yeah, industry loves dirty power, but your citizens hate it. So right here, critical step after you've supplied power and water, you want to go ahead and put your town hall. That's going to make your citizens happy and unlock some modules, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
Yeah, they love the city hall. Why? Because people like to complain, and that gives them a place to complain. Yeah, so you can always step in there and see what people are talking about and try to figure out what your citizens want. But bear in mind, the game isn't 100% flawless on that angle. Sometimes people will complain about something that they absolutely shouldn't be. I think just occasionally the game runs a check to see what the highest need thing is in the city. And even if it isn't at a critical level, sometimes a citizen will mention it as if it is. So,
Yeah.
but as long as you don't look down there in that particular aspect in your little tools panel down there, as long as it isn't orange or especially red showing on that particular area, like the zoning is showing orange right now, you know, as long as there's nothing red down there, then there's not a really, really terrible problem going on.
Yeah, I should point out too, when you're laying down your industry, you saw the little wind indicator there. So I wanted to place it blowing away from my citizens. Otherwise, that pollution is going to make them sick.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you have a nice little tree field, you know, in between them, that can help lower air pollution if it is blowing towards them. But as a good rule of thumb, generally speaking, if you can just get it away from them and have it blowing right out of the region of the city, you know, right out of the boundaries of the city rather, then that's best. And you just saw you place the sewage treatment plant. Another thing that citizens don't like is the poop pipe right next to their house. Go figure, you know.
Yeah. I want to point out too is I kind of waited a little bit and I'm already starting to get 6 Sims due to my lack of a sewage system. If you do that, it will cause ground pollution and in turn make your Sims sick. So you want to get that sewage system up and running as quickly as possible.
Yeah, generally it seems like sewage you really need to take care of quick. Trash you can wait a little bit longer on, but if your trash builds up too high, then that actually contributes to fire. You know, so you don't want to wait too long on any of these things, but yeah, you do your power, do your water, and then do your sewage, and then after that, yeah, it probably is time to go ahead and start placing a medical clinic, you know, as well as the parks there, which you've done.
Yeah, parks influence the type of sim that will go there. Your higher wealth parks are going to make higher wealth sims included in there. You can see me lay in a medical station as first of my services. You want to go ahead and constantly monitor that to make sure it's meeting capacity demands. Otherwise, it's not going to keep up and your citizens are going to get really mad.
Yeah, they really hate being sick and dying worse than those things. So yeah, the clinic absolutely is one of the first things you want to put down. Shortly thereafter, fire definitely becomes an issue. And of course, you want to keep up to date with that as well so people don't burn down their houses. Your Sims start off relatively dumb, and they will set fires. You'll see those wonderful little quotes there. Oh, just turn the oven up to 800 degrees or something. That sounds great. You know, so that kind of stuff happens. Again, if you haven't handled your trash problem, that will contribute to more fires as well. But even if you are handling it, people are going to start fires. It's just the way it is. So next thing you do after the medical center, typically, as far as services, is the fire station for sure.
Yeah, I was doing a little more zoning here, trying to get my population up, but as you guys can see, it's yellow, meaning there are fires in the city, but now it's blinking red. I have yet to have a fire station, so that's a big problem.
Yeah, so that is definitely the next thing. And really, I mean, don't be surprised if when you're building your first city and you're getting things together here, if you reach a stage like this where, oh my gosh, I need money to do this next thing, you know, it's so important, you know, and it's okay. If a couple fires break out, a couple people get sick, it's not a big deal. You know, you're going to be able to solve the problem. Your whole city's not going to melt just because, you know, you didn't have quite enough to get the fire station down before the first one. I see you got the finance station down here. Yes, this is perfect.
Yeah, this is a highly recommended first module. It allows you to take out 100K loans if you need them and also set the tax rate individually. You can see there a good ratio is 12, 11, 10 for your different wealth classes. That's a really good rule of thumb.
Yeah, that right there is just, and that's straight out of the guide there, guys. I mean, that's you can play around with it yourself. You can go higher taxes than that if you like, but if you increase them in any of the areas, you know, that 12, 11, 10 ratio, if you go up 1 point more than what is recommended there, then you will tick off that class of citizen by 1 level. You know, so their unhappiness basically increases as you go up from there, and it'll continue going up more and more and more as you increase the taxes higher and higher and higher. You can increase happiness by lowering the taxes as well, But generally speaking, I don't really like trying to derive happiness from low taxes. I like to get as much money out of them as they're willing to give me, and then use that money to provide really cool services and get happiness that way.
Yeah, they love good services. You can see here I'm just continuing with my basic services. I'm going to go ahead and lay down a garbage dump because I've been neglecting it for all this time. So doing that to get that ready.
Yep, absolutely. That's, as we said, the next thing you really want to get down, just to keep the garbage under control. And as you're seeing here too, I mean, not 100% perfect grid roads. I mean, you got some slants and stuff in here.
Yeah, it's a little crazy.
It really doesn't matter, guys. You know, make it as pretty and or as not as you want. And as long as you, again, try to minimize the intersections as much as you can. And then a little bit later on, you get into mass transit, and if you really get a nice mass transit system going, you know, then it doesn't matter what your city design is. People are going to get around just fine, even up to six-figure populations.
Yeah, so right here I'm just going through my checks, making sure my power, water, sewage is meeting demand. That's really critical to keep your city growing. As long as you're meeting those demands, they're going to continue to move in. They're going to increase their density and build more buildings and higher level buildings, and that's just good.
Yeah, that's the goal. You want to keep people moving in. You know, keep people make sure they're getting to work, make sure they're getting to shop. You know, that's what they want to do. That's what the Sims derive happiness from. They like to be able to spend money. That's what makes them happy, going to parks and spending money. And in order to do that, they have to be able to get around. They have to be not dead from not having medical facilities. They have to have not burned to a crisp, you know, or died of dehydration. You know, so basically just provide those essential services and make sure they can get around, and you're going to be fine. Continue that zoning on that 211 roughly schedule, you know, and the city will continue to support itself without having to get into any sorts of specializations. And of course, that'll help, right? I mean, you can do that later.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, coming up in the next part of this series, we're going to talk about city specializations and kind of go through them and show you guys how to build them up from scratch.
Yeah, that'll be the next thing here, but this is just the real basic city design stuff. Get a city up from the ground level, supporting itself, and making sure that it is primed and ready to branch out into a specialization so that you can grow all the more and really personalize your city to, you know, the touch that you want to hit for that particular town. So it looks like we're wrapping this one up here probably, though, yeah?
Yeah, this is going to do it. Stay tuned for the next one, guys, and we'll see you then.
Take it easy.